Yo guys, what is up? It's your boy JadeJonny, back here with another video. Hi, how you doing today? Oh man. Alright, so Saturday was my first pre-release or the first super pre-release for One Piece CCG. Now, for those of you who don't know, I play multiple card games: Celestials, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, Vanguard, One Piece, Dragon Ball. Getting back into Dragon Ball. So One Piece is a new card game coming out. Obviously, yeah. So, as you can see behind me, I won Super Pre-Release promo! Let's go! Basically, Saturday, we entered in the Super Pre-Release, and we didn't hear that it was a best of one. So, we played the entire tournament, a best of three, up until round 3, in which case I played against Crocodile, and halfway through, I was politely informed that, it was a best of one format. And I was like, oh, well, this sucks. Because I kept a really risky hand in this round with the 1K guard. Oh, it sucked. It sucked so bad. So bad. It was on us for not clarifying that it was a best of one format. Had I known, would not have kept that hand. Probably would have had a better chance of winning, not gonna lie. Or I would have played a lot more defensively, thinking, I don't have that safety net. So, try to hold it back a bit, right? So, it sucks. It really does. However, I knew I'd have another opportunity the next day. So, kind of just like, I lost round 3, and then I won round 4, making me 3-1, which you had to be 4-0 to win the entire thing. Sucked. It really sucked. So, next round. So the next event, I get there early. It's busy as heck. There's 15 players? 15, yeah. And we had a cap of 8, but when we had such a high turnout, apparently they just decided to increase the cap. So we had a 15 player, we had a 4 round, 4 rounds. First round I played against, I played Luffy, obviously, which is why he's here, because, I love Luffy, and I really enjoyed, getting to play Luffy. Luffy is obviously, the Straw Hats are my favorite pirates. I can make an argument for Buggy, but Straw Hats are my favorite. So, I love Luffy. I love Zoro. And so I was like, I want to finish my playsets of Zoro and Luffy foiled out, and their super rare versions. I want to finish my playsets. So regardless of whether or not I win or lose, at least I have 2 of my favorite characters and their max rarity. And so, kind of why I went into choosing Luffy. I also think Luffy was a good meta choice, too, because I think Luffy hard counters Kid. Or, I wouldn't say hard counter, but soft counters Kid. Being able to apply so much pressure early on forces cards out of Kid's hands, so he's not able to really safely discard via his own effect, which is something my last round opponent went into. But we'll talk about that in a second. So, how did I win using Luffy against 10 kids? Because there's 15 people in this tournament. 10 of them played Kid. So, how did I, using Luffy, going in as an unknown in my local community, win using Luffy? So, first round I played against the judge. The TO. I'm going to say TO more than accurately than a judge, because as we were playing, he was learning to play the game. I noticed he was not realizing rollings. He was missing his attacks, like he was forgetting to attack. And I pointed it out, and I was like, hey, man, I don't want to win by you forgetting an action or not realizing something. I don't feel right doing that. So as a reminder, your leader can attack my character cards. My character card does get an extra 1k power, talking about Zoro here, during your turn, as well as during mine. So it is at 6k. Are you sure you would like to attack with a 5k attacker? Let him retract his moves whenever it felt necessary. And then I pointed out, like, hey, by the way, you can active Dawn onto your cards to increase your power. It is not just an ability that is exclusive to Luffy. And so, basically, just wanted to make sure that it was as close as a fun game as possible, right? And he really did recover. Second, like, he realized, oh, I'm playing my deck wrong. He did really recover, and he did push me to the point where I was about to lose. However, I did pull in that W. So, next up, we got round 2. I play against the only other Luffy in the tournament. That's right. two red boys. No, three red boys. Three red boys. I play against the only other Luffy that won their round one in the tournament. And we were joking about how, like, because it's the same guy who beat me the day before in the tournament. And so I was cracking a joke. I was like, hey, man, you know, I finally get payback. And he was like, yeah, I mean, if you have 100+ games with Luffy, I would honestly be disappointed if you didn't get payback. And we go all the way to the end of the game. It's really back and forth. I'm mostly controlling tempo myself. Like, I'm mostly keeping control of the tempo. But we hit the last two turns, and he makes a hard read that I have a 2K block in hand. I had a 1K block in hand. He makes a hard read that I had a 2K block in hand, and he was trying to ensure that he could always connect. So he put an extra Dawn onto what was it? Onto Frankie? I want to say Frankie. He puts an extra Dawn onto Frankie to make a push to damage, and I obviously let the damage go through because I can't block it. However, it also makes it to where he wasn't able to push by 1K more, which he only needed 1K. He didn't even need Dawn, so... but he overcompensated for the fact that I might have the ability to block it, and he dawned onto Frankie to make sure that even if I had a 2K, I would still be connected, which made it to where I could block another attack later on in the round. So this made it to where the game basically ended right then and there. I was like, okay, well, it's GG's, and I ended up finishing it off with a 15K Luffy. So so next up. It was really close. He played really amazingly, really great. But I think it just really came down to that one read he made that just like cost it in the game. Next up, I played against Kid, and it was not back and forth. I think I had control of the game for the most part, basically the entire game. There was a couple points where I was kind of like, oh, like if he makes like this super hard read and basically like goes exactly how, you know, you're not supposed to do, right? Like if you do it in like a way where the deck doesn't want to play that way, if you do those actions, then he might win. But there's no way he's going to make that big of a read, because that kind of read is like next level big brain stuff. So I was like, no way he's gonna do that. I could kind of just vibe and relax and kind of chill, go with the flow, make jokes with my opponent, make jokes with the people around me, because like it was like I was never in a high pressure situation that game. He played amazingly. He did play amazingly, but I never felt pressured. And that's like the huge thing with Kid is you got to apply pressure. You got to make sure that your opponent has less cards than you and that you're able to deal consistent damage. So when I'm at 2 life and you're at 1 life, you're not doing that. So that kind of just like was why he lost there. Next up, for the final round, also played against a Kid, and this being somebody who I know attends Pokemon regional level events. I think he's attended Worlds multiple times. I'm not sure about that. Not sure about that. Don't hold me to that. But he's also someone I went to high school with, and I was like, oh, he had also been sitting next to me when I've been talking about how like Luffy's supposed to play around Kid with my opponent from the round before. So I think he kind of heard like what my game plan was going into it, and he definitely played around it. The second that he played 2 Bonnie on board and did not use their effects, I was like, huh. Oh my god, this is actually going to be hard. He's doing exactly what he needs to do to stop me. This sucks. So I was like, okay, well, if he's going to do this, I'm going to force out as much guard as I can as possible, and to force him to activate the Bonnie. I need to get rid of these Bonnies immediately. So I was lucky in the fact that I drew it on me and that I was able to apply pressure to his Bonnies. So at any point, if he ever rested his Bonnie, his Nami could take a Bonnie or force a card from his hand. Either one succeeds in the same game plan of forcing cards out of his hand and making sure that I'm limiting his plays overall. So I was sitting here and I was like, okay, I just need to keep up the pressure. And then he started pressuring me. I looked down at my board. I realized I have 10 Dawn and 4 life. And for those of you who don't know when you play One Piece, if you have 10 Dawn and 4 life, you're either blocking every attack, which is bad, or your opponent's not attacking your leader. And then I see I have 2 cards in hand, and he has 4. And he has 3 life. And he has 3 characters on the board. I'm like, okay, I need to stop, reevaluate the situation and think about how I can come back from this, because I am clearly losing card advantage wise. I've gotten rid of all of his Bonnies, but that hasn't changed the fact that he has more cards in hand and on board than I do. I need to reevaluate the situation, figure out how I'm going to get rid of his board and his hand at the same time. Simultaneously, I need to do this. This is something I have to do. So, I mostly just forced out more blocks. Like just 3k blocks. Like I was just like, okay, well, 3k to block, and just kind of like made sure that I could keep some decent level of tempo going, to where he'd have to use 2 to 3 cards or events to stop my attacks. Because it was like, once you realize you're in a losing position, the best way to segue into that position is just to stop, reevaluate the situation, realize why you're in a losing position, and go, okay, let's get back to where we were. So basically, I just kind of like made sure that I was killing the cards, if that makes sense. It was mostly just, I didn't necessarily care about killing the specific unit on board. Green has a lot of on-play stuff, so I didn't necessarily care about killing the cards, but I wanted to make it seem like it was worth it to me to not have those on board, if that makes sense. So where I'd be like, okay, I want this, what's a good card? I want this heat gone, right? I wanted to be like, I want this heat gone, so let me force a 3k guard from you. Because most players, when they hear 3k, they're like, it's 2 cards, 2 to 3 cards, whatever. I'm fine with that, which he did. He was fine with that. Until he realized that I still killed the unit at the end of the turn, and he lost a lot of cards for it. It's not always worth it to block. And I was kind of capitalizing out the fact that he's probably new to the game, not really understanding that it's okay to let your unit die every now and then, to let the characters, like, hit the discard pile. So you might be losing offensive pressure for it, but, I mean, when you're playing Kid, gaining offensive pressure on being able to restand your leader is more important than having offensive pressure in the form of a character. So, that's basically what it was just kind of like making sure I could control the tempo of the game. It got really close in the last turn. He was kind of like, I had a blocker on board, I had Chopper on board, 1 life, and I took the damage from Kid's first attack, and he was debating on whether he should either leave the card he had in hand, if he should play the card, or if he should use Kid's effect to restand himself. Well, here's the problem. When you're facing down a Luffy with 10 Dawn and you have no blockers, you kind of have to go for the game and hope I don't realize I have a Chopper on board. Because there's nothing you're really going to be able to do when you're at 1 life facing a 6k Luffy and a leader. You don't really have much going for you in that situation. You're not coming out of it the victor. So I just kind of like 10k Dawn, ran for game. And yeah, that's basically how I won. I kind of just took advantage of the fact that I do have a lot of playtesting, because obviously the videos I have on the channel, I had to do them. I mean, so I playtested a lot, and I got a lot of experience going, and that is how I took out a tournament with Luffy. And Luffy's really cool, and I like Luffy. And that's basically my thought process with One Piece CCG, is Luffy's cool. So, that being said, we are going to be doing One Piece live matches now. It's probably going to be in like another week. I want to say a week. Let's say a week, because we got to like kind of figure out the ground rules for what we're doing, and we got to kind of figure out like, what we're allowing, what we're not allowing inside the decks. I mean, because I have 2 Luffy decks. My brother only has 1 Kid deck, and then I have a Kaido deck. So, kind of not sure what the limits are when recording these videos, because it could be literally anything. That being said, though, guys, I enjoyed attending the One Piece Super Pre-Release. I'm going to enjoy playing with my locals more and more, and I hopefully will get to enjoy playing with you guys. If you guys have a particular Discord that you guys regular, I would love to join. I would love to meet new people, and I would love to interact with more and more people as the time goes on. That being said, though, guys, this has been JadeJonny. I am so happy that this card right here is in my possession, and I will keep it and cherish it. And I will see you guys later in another video. Deuces.